Hello everyone. So today we are going to see how can we store this form data in the database table by using the Hibernate. In the earlier videos we have seen we stored the data of this form using JDBC, but in this video we will see by using Hibernate how can we store. So let's go to the Eclipse IDE, and here we will create one Maven project. So go to here file, and in this new go to the others, and here select a wizard. Here you type Maven. Here we can see Maven project, then click on next. Then here we have to click on next. Then here in the catalog choose internal. Then after that what you have to do is go to the at the end, and here you can see Maven archetype web app. Click on this, click on Maven archetype web app, then click on next, and here we will give group id as com.text. Here artifact id we will give here Servlet Hibernate com.test package. Then what we have to do is click on finish. So our Maven project will be created here. Here we can see Servlet Hibernate. So in this pom.xml we will add the dependencies. So here we are using Servlet. So first of all we need to add the Servlet dependency. So go to the browser, and here in the Maven repository Servlet, yes, Java Servlet API. I will give link of this site in the description. From there you can copy this and go to the Eclipse, and in the dependencies in the this below JUnit after dependency paste here, Control Shift F to format. So what you have to do, first go to the Maven repository and search for Java Servlet API, and I will give the link of this in the description. You can click on that link. You will go here and copy this and go to the Eclipse and paste here. So this is for Servlet. Next we are using Hibernate. So for that Hibernate we have to add the dependency Hibernate core. So I will give link of this also in the description. You can, by clicking on that link, you will go here and copy this whatever dependency, and after that go to the Eclipse, and below this Servlet API we have to paste here. So Control Shift F to format. Then next Hibernate core is done. Now here we are going to use the MySQL database. So for that we have to add the jar file. So go to the browser and search for MySQL connector J, because we are using here MySQL. So also this link will be provided in the description. You can, by click on that link, you will go here and copy this dependency and go to the Eclipse, and below Hibernate core paste this and press Control Shift F to format, and yes, this is done. So first we added the Servlet API. Next because we are using a Servlet, so next one is Hibernate and this MySQL connector jar, and also here the JRE version is 1.5. Also we'll add here Maven compiler plugin. So go to the browser, and here Maven compiler plugin. So I will give this link in the description. Go there, and after clicking on that you will find this Maven compiler plugin for Java 8. Go to the Eclipse, and above the dependencies paste and press Control Shift F. So here I will take here Java 9 1.9. So after adding these dependencies and Maven compile plugin, what you have to do is right click on this project, and after that it is taking some time. Go to the Maven and update project, then click on OK. So it will take some time. Here you can see updating Maven project. So here we can see earlier it was 1.5. now after adding this Maven compiler plugin, you can see the version in 9, and in the Maven dependencies you will find that all the dependencies are there. This is Servlet API, then mysql connector Java, and here whatever the Hibernate jar files are here. So the dependencies we have added successfully. Now let me close this. Next we will create our form. So go to the src, then click on this main, then here you can see web app, then right click on this web app and go to the new, and here we will create HTML file. Here we will take name as form.html, then done. Here we need to create one form. So here what we will do, in the division, first div tag, next we will use here a form. So form form, and here first of all we will create a table. Inside table we will create a form. So first table row, in that first table data, and here enter name, and in the next table data we will take here input, type as text, and name equals to name. Then also let's control alt down, enter date of birth, enter gender, enter city, right? Then what we will do, here we will give the option as choose city, then enter name, it is done. Then date of birth, for this we will give here a date, and name we will take as DOB. Enter gender, here we have to use the radio, so type equals to what we will do here we will use radio, where is radio, and here name as we will take gender, and value we will take as male. Let me go down here, and here we will go, press Ctrl Alt down, then radio, gender, and value we will take here as a female. Yes, now this is done. Now choose the city, here we will take give some option for the city. So here what we will do, input type equals to select, here we have to give the select option, select, and here we will give name as city, and in this select we will provide some options. Here in the select we will provide some options. First option we will give as Pune, and in this its value will be value equals to Pune. Let's Control Alt down, then we will take next city as Mumbai, next we will take as Hyderabad, next we will take as Nagpur, then here we will take value as Mumbai, then Hyderabad HYD, then Nagpur, and at the end what we have to do is we have to take submit. So paste here. In this what we'll do is, let me copy this, paste here, input type equals to submit, and value value equals to register, and here also we have to take one button, we'll take as reset, then submit and reset, and value will take as reset. So done. Now if I right click on this and go to the open with web browser, so it will open in the web browser, and we can see our form, enter name, enter date of birth. Here we will get the calendar, and enter the, here we forgot to write male and female, so go to the eclipse, and after that here we'll write male, email, and female. Let's save this, go to the browser, and let's refresh. Here we can see male and female is coming. So after that choose the city, there are 4 cities, then register and reset. After click on reset, the values will be reset. Now why we take the table? Because we are getting in the same line. If we didn't take table, then here we will not get this in the same lines, so that's for we have used here a table. Now what we'll do, we'll use Bootstrap to make this attractive. So what you have to do is go to the browser and search for Bootstrap 4. I will give the link of this in the description. After going to Bootstrap, you have to copy this, then go to our Eclipse. In the HTML form below title you have to paste, then press Ctrl Shift F to format. Now here we can use the Bootstrap by adding this. So first of all what we'll do, here we'll take here a class as card, and here class as container fluid. So if I save this and go to the browser, if I refresh, you will find that the font is changed and this below line is coming. So again, if you modify this, go to the here, and in the division we'll write S2 registration form, and here we'll provide some class equals to card header, and text we have the center, and background will take as a danger, that means red. Let me save this and go to the browser, and let's refresh this. Here you will find that registration form background is danger and it is coming in center. Now if you want the color as here text will take as light, go to the browser, refresh. Here you can see registration form. Now go here and we will do here, let me take id as div, and here we will write some style. So for hash div we'll take width as 600 pixel, and height as we'll take 500 pixel, and margin will take as auto, and margin top will take as 100 pixel. Let us save this, go to the browser and refresh. Here we go, registration form, enter num, it is coming in the middle. Now we'll design some for table we will provide. So here in the table what you have to do, class we have to take here a table hover, press this, save this, go to the browser and let's refresh. Here we see after going to the row it is hovering, we can see hovering effect. Now let me go to Eclipse and here we'll take table stripped, stripped, stripped. Let's save this and go to the browser, refresh. Here you can see stripped rows are coming. Now we'll minimize some height. Here we will take 350. Let's save this and go to the browser and refresh. Yeah, now it's time to go for the button. So go to the Eclipse and in this here in the submit button class equals to btn outline su success we have to give. And if we go to the browser, refresh, here we go. Here after hovering we are getting this success, that means this green color. So now same for the reset, but here we will take danger. So class btn outline as danger will take. So go to down and here danger, save this, go to the browser and refresh. Here we can see yes. So registration form is done. Now go here and here in the form you will provide action as register. Will create one servlet with this URL and method will take as post. So the form is done. Let's save this and yeah. Next the form is done. Here in the src main resources we have to create the servlet. So right click on this and go to the new and go to the class. Here we'll create a register servlet. So register servlet and the package will take as com.servlet and click on finish. So here we will read the whatever the form. Yeah, here we are not getting the only we are getting the src main resource, but we need to have src main java. So let me delete this. Only we are getting here resources. So for that in the previous, yeah, here we want src main src/main/java. So if we didn't get here src main/java, what we can do is right click on this project and go to the build path and configure the build path. After that in the configured build path click on this order and export, then this check these boxes and click on apply and close, and here you will find that src main/java is coming. Now here we have to create the servlet. So go to the class and here we will create register servlet and in the package what we'll do com.servlet and enter. So here we will extend from the http servlet as we have to use the do get and do post methods. So extends http servlet and press Ctrl Shift O to import the package. Now here we'll write do get, press Ctrl space and here we will get some recommendation and enter. Next one is do post, press Ctrl space and enter. So do get and do post is coming here. So for do, if it is a do post, we'll pass through to the do get, and here we will write logic. So res. Now here we are in the form, in the main web app, in the form.html we take here action as register. So let me copy this and go to the register servlet, and here we will provide @web servlet bracket /register. So you can also give in this web.inf web.xml, you can map this URL, but this is a simple way to give this URL. So after registration, after click on submit, it will go to this servlet. Now here what we'll do, first we have to take here get the print writer pw equals to res dot get writer. Press Ctrl Shift O for importing print writer, then set the content type as response dot set content type as we will take here a MIME type text slash HTML. So text slash HTML. Next, read the form data. So string name equals to, what we have to do is request dot get parameter and name what we have taken in the form dot name, date of birth, gender and city. So let's go here and name. So press Ctrl Alt down, Ctrl Alt down, Ctrl Alt down. DOB, city, gender, and at this place we have to give DOB, city and gender. So we have successfully read the data. So let's check whether the data is coming or not. So sys out will print here name and name, Ctrl Alt down, Ctrl Alt down, Ctrl Alt down. Here we'll take date of birth and city and gender and the name of variable date of birth, city and gender, and at the end close the stream 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 pw dot close. So before going to save this data in the database table, we will check whether the form is going here or not, and here we will print some success message pw.println form registered successfully. Also we can print this data on the browser also. So instead of printing on console, we'll print on the browser pw.println, and here pw.println, also pw.println. So here we are taking print writer, so it will, by using this we can print on the browser. So this is done. Now let us see. So you must configure any web server with your Eclipse ID. I have already configured with the Tomcat, so you can do that. So right click on this and go to the run on server. I am using here Tomcat 9. You can use whatever web server you have, and after that click on next. Here we want only Servlet Hibernate. Click on finish, click on OK. So it will run on this server and open in the browser. So here we can see yes, it is opening in the browser. It will take some time. Hello world. Here hello world is coming because what happened in the web.xml, the welcome file is by default index.jsp, and index.jsp hello world is there, but we want this form.html. So how can we give this as a welcome file as the first file. So what we have to do here, in the here in the web app below display name, here we have to give welcome file list. In the welcome file we'll take first file as form.html. So let us save this and let us stop the server, and if we go again here, right click on this and run on server and click on finish. Now the form.html will come as a welcome file and it will open as the first web page of our application. And here we go, registration form is coming as first. Now enter the name, we will take here Sam, and if we take here date of birth, we will take 5. Then click on mail, and he wants to work at Hyderabad, and click on register. So what here you can see name coming as Sam. If I name Sam, date of birth, this city Hyderabad, gender male, form register successfully. Here what we have to do, after clicking on this form submit button, it will go to this servlet, and one by one we are printing the data. So what we'll do here, we will take some h2 and slash h2, control alt down. Let me delete this. Date of birth and city, gender, date of birth, city, gender. Also this form register successfully, we will take in h2 and h2. Let us save this. After saving, yes, server is loaded, and go back again. We'll register the same data. If I click on register, here we go, name is Sam, date of birth, city, gender, and form register successfully. So this is the first, we created the form and read successfully. Now it's time to go for Hibernate. So for the Hibernate, we will first require this configuration file. So what is this? Let's understand what is the configuration file. So to use the Hibernate, we have to provide the certain parameters which is used by the Hibernate ORM software to bootstrap the system correctly. So we have to provide the following information. First one is DT to be used. So this is used to validate the Hibernate configuration XML file data. In the Hibernate file, we have to use the Hibernate configuration -5 DTD file. First is we require this DTD. Next, database driver we have to use. So database driver class to be used for the connecting to the database. Then connection URL we must give. Then username of the database, then password of the database. And here we can see this is a DTD we have to provide. Next, we have to provide the driver class name of the database. Here I am using MySQL, so com.mysql.jdbc.driver. Then connection we have to provide jdbc/mysql:/localhost 3306, and this is the schema name. Then username, then password. Then this dialect we have to provide. So what is a dialect? So Hibernate dialect class. Hibernate dialect class is vary from database to database, and it is for the generating the, it will, what will do, the dialect will generate the SQL queries. Here we need not to require write the SQL queries. While dealing with the JDBC, what we done is we have to write the SQL query, but working with the Hibernate, the benefit, one of the benefit of the Hibernate, we need not to write the SQL query by ourselves. So Hibernate dialect, it provides separate direct class for each database. We have to select the dialect which is compatible for your database. After providing all this information, Hibernate will be able to instantiate ORM system at the application startup. So let me copy this, and we have to create one hibernate.configuration.xml. So what we have to do, go to the src main java and right click here and go to the new and go to others. Here we will require one XML file, and after going in the XML you will find XML file. Then click on next, and here we will give the name as hibernate.configuration.xml. hibernate.configuration.xml, finish. So this is in this Hibernate we have to provide first DTD, then whatever the database information that we have to give. Copy this and go to the Eclipse, and I will give the link of the code in the description. From there you can copy this whatever configuration file. So let me explain this. First, this DTD, because for the validating this configuration file of Hibernate we have to provide this. Next, the connection driver class. So for the Hibernate, which database we are using, for that purpose we need to give the driver class, connection URL, username of database and password of database. So driver class, as we know, for the MySQL this is the driver class, then this is a URL. So new is a schema name. In the MySQL workbench you can use anything. I using here a MySQL workbench. In that I created one schema with the name new. So that schema name we must provide, and table will be created by the Hibernate. Next, so JDBC MySQL localhost, this is the port number and this is the schema name. Next, username of your database you have to provide. Next, password of database you have to provide. Next, this show underscore SQL, this property, so it will show us the whatever SQL query internally generated by the Hibernate. If you don't want to see, you can escape this. You cannot. If you want to see the SQL queries, then you can give, otherwise you can escape. This format underscore also SQL is also not compulsory to give. It will format our SQL query by clause. This dialect, it is varies from the database to database and the version of the database whatever you are using. I am giving here MySQL 8 dialect because I am using a MySQL 8. Then HBM to DDL.ito, this is update. Yep, here what is this, let us understand. Here first of all, this HBM to DDL.ito, so it has 4 passable values. First one is create, next one is update, third one is validate, and fourth one is create a hyphen drop. Here we are using update. So update means Hibernate create new table if old table not exist, otherwise it will use the same table. Then what will happen, here we are giving update, that means Hibernate will check in the schema, whatever schema new, it will check the table whatever will give the table name. In the next step, it will check whether the table is present in this schema. If the table is not present, so it will create that table. If the table is present, then it will use the same table. Next, create, also we can give the create. So Hibernate will create a new table. If old table exists in the given schema, then it will drop and create new one. Next, the validate. So if we didn't provide this Hibernate to DDL.ito, then the default one, what is that? That is validate. In that validate, what we have to do, we have to create the table. programmer has to create alter drop the table manually. Hibernate will not create the table. Next, create and drop. So drop, what will happen? If the table is present already, then it will drop the table. If the table is not present, it will create new table, then it will do operation. After doing the operation, at the end it will drop the table. So it is used mainly for the testing purpose. So if the table is available, it will drop, then create a new table. If not available, it will create a table, and at the end it is going to drop the table. So these are the 4 values which are required for this Mgmt to ddl.io, but here we are using update. Next, now it's time to go for the Java object to database table mapping. So we can do by using the XML, next by using annotation, but in this we are using this annotation. So using annotation to mapping, this annotation is the preferred way of mapping the Java Pojo class with the database table and its field. So it uses the annotated Pojo class for mapping. Following are the most frequent use for the mapping. So now this configuration file is done. Next, we have to provide the mapping file. So here, right click on this and go to new. Here we'll create one class. Here we'll take class name as employee, and here com.entity finish. So as we have seen, there are 2 ways you can map Java object to database table. So we'll require some annotation, as we are using here annotations for mapping the Java object to the database table. So first of all, we'll create some here private integer employee ID, private string employee name, private string date of birth, private string city, private string gender. Copy this and below that we'll write. Now first annotation is entity. So define a class as an entity, class that is mapped with the database table. That means here if you use entity, we will use here entity annotation. So Hibernate will map this class with the table, and here Hibernate will create one table with the name employee, EMPLOYEE, and it will also create the columns. Here we are using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So whatever we are giving the name, that will be taken as the column name. Here first employee ID, employee name, date of birth, gender, and here we will take assume it as a gender and city. So this class will be mapped with the database table. So whatever you have given employee, it will create one table with employee, and whatever this we are giving this variable employee ID, employee name, date of birth, gender, it will be taken as the column names. And if you want to modify this employee table name or the columns, let us see how can we do that. So if we didn't want this table name as the employee, we can give here use the annotation called table, and we can give here a name as emp tab. So I have written here table name for mapping this entity. Next one is column name. Also we can give by, we can modify the column name as our need. So here if we go here, I will give here a column name. Here we'll take emp name. So it will create a column with employee name. If we don't want to change, you can skip this column. So what will happen now? It will create one table with the name employee tab and the columns 1, 2, 3, 4. So first column name will be employee name, next one will date of birth. No, first will be employee ID, next one is employee name, then date of birth, then city and gender. So this is done. And if you want this employee ID as primary, so we'll take here ID, and if you want to generate the ID values, so we will give here a generated value. So ID, so primary key mapping, and it maps the annotated field as a primary key generated from the database from using this annotation. Now mapping is done. So mapping is done. Here we have to provide the getter and setter methods. So how to do that? Press Ctrl Shift S and go to the generate getter and setters. Select all and generate. So generate getter and setter. Now we created the configuration file and provided the database details. Next step is mapping file we created also. Now we have to save the data. So we'll create, right click on this, go to new and class utility, and here we'll provide com.utility. So here you must know this whatever. So you must know this configuration, session factory, session, then transaction. So what is this? Let us understand. So configuration is a class which is present in the org.hibernate.configuration passage. It activates the Hibernate framework. So if you want to activate the Hibernate framework, we must use this configuration. So it reads both the configuration file whatever we have given and mapping file. It activates the Hibernate framework. So how can we activate the Hibernate framework? We first create the object, then we have to give the cfg.configure, and in that we have to provide the configuration file name. So it reads the configuration file and mapping file. So it will check whether the configuration file is syntactically correct or not. If it is not correct, then it will throw the error. So if the config file is not valid, then it will throw an exception. So if it is valid, then it will create a metadata in memory and returns the metadata to object to represent the config file. So this is the use of this configuration class. It will, what will do? It will activate the Hibernate framework and it will check the configuration and mapping file. If that files are not correct, then it will throw the exception. Next next important thing is session factory. So session factory is an interface which is present in org.hibernate package, and it is used to create a session object, and it is immutable and thread safe in nature. So build session factory method gather the metadata whatever present in the configuration object. That metadata will gather by this build session factory. So from the configuration object, it will take the JDBC information and it will create a JDBC connection. So JDBC connection will be created by this session factory. Next, so session factory object we can create by session factory equals to cfg dot build session factory. Next important thing is session. So session is the interface which is present in org.hibernate package. Session object is created based upon session factory object. So it opens the connection or session with the database software through the Hibernate framework. It is a lightweight object and it is not thread safe. Session object is used to perform the CRUD operation. So if you want to create, update, delete, you can use this session object. So how to create object for this session? Session equal to factory dot build session. So as you can see, this first session factory we can take from the configuration, and next session we can take from the session factory. And the last is transaction. So transaction object is used whenever we perform any operation. Based upon the operation, there is some changes in the database. Transaction object is used to give the instruction to the database to make the changes that happen because of the operation as a permanent by using the commit method. So let's create this object. So in the utility, we'll take first static block. We'll create configuration cfg equals to new configuration. Control Shift O for importing. Here you can see java.hibernate.config configuration, control space configuration. Now cfg.configure. Configure. Here we have to give the configuration file name. What is configuration file name? Hibernate.cfg.xml. So in the utility, we have to give hibernate.cfg.xml, hibernate.cfg.xml. And next, after configuration, we have to create the session factory object. So we'll create one session factory equals to, first we'll take as null, control shift O for importing. Here we can see org.hibernate.session factory, click on finish. So factory equals to cfg dot build session factory is the method. So what will happen? Configuration, we are, what happened here? CF. Here we have to use the try catch block. Here what happened? We'll take here as a static property, static session factory. Now the error is gone. So what will happen? This configuration will check this Hibernate configuration file and this mapping file. It will check whether these are correct or not. If there is any syntactical error, then it will throw the error. Now it will create the metadata. This configuration will create the metadata. Here in the, we can see. So if it values, it creates the metadata in a memory and returns metadata to object to represent the config file. Next is session factory. So from the configuration object, it takes the JDBC information and creates the JDBC connection. So this session factory is for the creating the connection. Now we'll provide one here a method called public session factory get session factory, and we'll return here factory. Next we need to create one session. So public session get session. Control Shift O for importing. Here we can see org.hibernate.session finish, and here we will create session ses equals to factory dot what is the method open session, and return this session. So what is the session? It opens the connection with the database software through the Hibernate framework, and it is used for the performing CRUD operation. Now these three are done. First one is configuration, then factory, then session. Configuration. So next we have to save this data into the table. So right click on this and go to new. We will create one class save object, and here we will create one com.test finish. Here what we have to do is create a main, then so in the register servlet we will create here one object of this employee. So here we will delete this whatever we are printing. Here we will create one object, and that is employee emp equals to new employee. Then press Ctrl Shift O to importing. Then we will set the properties, set city as city, emp.set date of birth dop, emp.set name employee name as name, and last one is emp.set date of birth we will set as date of birth, and we have to save this object in the table. So in this save object test, let me stop the server. We will create one method for saving the object. So public int public static int save object, and we will take input as employee object. So employee employee emp equals to, press Ctrl Shift, yes, public static int save employee emp. Ctrl Shift O to import the employee. Now from this servlet we will call this method. So it is a static method. So save object dot save, and we will pass the employee, and it will give the integer value. What happened here? Create the method in the save object dot save. Here we will write the logic to save this object. So first is get the session object. So session equals to in the utility class utility.java we have this method that will provide this session object. So go to the save object test, and here utility dot utility dot get session. This utility we have to use. Yes, this utility is imported. Now here what is the error we are getting? Surround with the tag, change the get status as to static. We'll take here a static method, static. So save object. Now session object is done. Here we'll take the try block, try with resources, session, and here we have to create the transaction tx equals to null, control shift O for importing. Here you choose this org.hibernate.transaction. Then here we'll begin the transaction, begin the transaction. So tx equals to session dot begin transaction. Then we have to save the object, so save the object. How can we save? Session. In the session we have one method called save, and we have to provide here a whatever object employee. Then after that commit the transaction, so tx dot commit. If we get any error, catch hibernate exception he, then we have to print h.print stack trace and we'll roll back the transaction. Otherwise, if we get any other exception other than hibernate exception, we will print e.print stack trace and transaction.roll back. And the session.save will give us the count, int count equal to session.save. What happened here? It will give the integer value, integer count equal to session.save. Add cast to integer and we'll return that value. So here at the end return count. So it must be here. Outside the try block. So session will save our object. So from the register servlet we are calling this method save object.save. So it will go to the save object.java and it will go here. Then we are getting the session object from the utility, as we have created here a session object. Then what will happen? It will save this object into our table. So it is done. First we created this form. Then after submitting it will go to the employee. Then no, it will go to the register servlet. Then it will fetch the data and it will create one object of employee. Then for saving these records we'll call here save method of this save object. In the save object we are using the session for saving this object. So this session we have created in the utility class. First we created configuration object, then session factor object, and at the end session object. And next we provided the configuration file and also the mapping file. So this mapping file is to map with the table. So the table will be created with the employee tab and these columns: employee ID, employee name, date of birth, gender and city. These are the columns. And employee ID will be auto generated. It is a primary key. as we have given here id and generated value. So what will happen, session.save. So whatever the values are set to this object in the servlet, the name, date of birth, city and gender, and the employee id will be automatically generated as we have mentioned here a generated value. So in the save object test, after this method, what will happen, in the table what we have given the name as emp tab, and the 5 columns, first, second, third, 4, 5, and the columns here as so the form data will be here the 1, and if we give here a name Sam and its date of birth, let's suppose 2 Jan, and year, then city Pune, and at the end what is the remaining, gender male. So it will be saved in this table by executing this method session.save, and it will return this employee id as the here employee id will be written, and it will store into the count. And these are the column names. First is column names. Now we are returning the count, so go to the register servlet. Here we will check if count is equal to 0. In that case we will print pw.println s2 in the heading employee not registered, stred registered. Otherwise count value is other than 0. In that case we will print employee registered successfully, employee registered successfully. Let's save this. Now all this is done, so right click on this project and go to run as, run on server, Tomcat, click on next, click on finish. Server will be loaded here. It will open in the browser. So form is opened here. So let me give Sam, and in the mysql workbench here we can see in the new schema there is no table, right? Sam, date of birth, we'll take here 6, male, and Hyderabad, and register. Let's see what will happen here. Here we are getting the error. What is the error? Unable to load the class com.entity.user. Oh, here we did some mistake. In the hibernate.configuration.xml I provided here a user. Here our in the com.entity we have the class name as employee. Employee is the name. By mistake I provided here a user. So this is a mapping in the configuration file we have to provide the mapping class whatever you have given. So this is a employee. So let me stop the server and again run. So right click on this and go to run on server, click on next, click on finish. So again it will open in the browser. Now let us see again. Sam, date of birth will take as 11, male, Mumbai, register. Again we are getting, I think it is not loaded. Let us give some here update. We have to update the project. So right click on this and go to the, where is Maven, then update the project. Okay, it will update the project. So let us see again what we have done. Form.html is write, submit and register, post. This is done. In the next, in the hibernate.configuration.xml, first one is this driver class, URL is same, username, password, then show SQL, format SQL, dialect, HBM to DDL auto update and com.entity.emplo YEE employee, right? Then in the mapping file we can also see entity, table name and getter and setters, ID, generated value, employee ID, employee name, DOB, gender, CT and getter and setters. This is also right. Then utility class, let us see. First one is session factory, then configuration, configure, and this is also right. Then save object, session, it is also right. Then register servlet, it is right. Now let us see what is the error. Class not loaded, class not found exception. Let us run again. Right click on this, go to the run on server, next, finish. So form is opened here. Let us give Sam, DOB 11, male, Nagpur, register, and here we go. We are getting employee register successfully. So go to the MySQL workbench and here if I refresh the schemas, refresh, here we go, employee tab and Hibernate sequence, these both are the tables are coming. In the employee tab, click on this icon. So here you will find that employee ID, city we provided Nagpur, date of birth we provided 11th February and employee name we provided Sam. We didn't choose the gender. So what we'll do, go to here, go back, here we'll take as John, here we'll take 6, male, and city will take Mumbai and register. Employee register successfully. will find that here the queries are coming because we in the configuration we take here show underscore SQL as true. So let us understand what will happen. As we are giving here Mgmt to ddl.io as an update, it will check whether the table is available or not. As we have seen, first the table is not available, then the Hibernate will create table. Here you can see the query, create a table, employee tab, employee ID CT. Here you can see the column names, employee ID integer not null, CT, date of birth, employee name, gender, and the primary key is employee ID. Next, it will also create a Hibernate sequence. As we are giving here in this mapping file, mapping class, it has ID and generated value. So it will create the Hibernate sequence table. So these two tables will be created. Now next it will insert the values into the table. Here you can see insert query, insert into employee tab, city, date of birth, employee name, gender, and employee ID. So here you can see the queries are generated and the table is created by the Hibernate. So if we go here, refresh, here the gender is not coming. I think there is some problem. If we go here and employee name, gender in the register servlet, what is happening? Here we have not setted the value for the here date of birth and date of birth. Here we have given the table. So let me give here a set gender, and now it will come. So what we'll do here, we'll delete this table and again we'll see the practical of this. So delete, right click on this and go to the drop to tables. So drop now, drops. Yes, here you can see if we refresh this, the tables are not available. So what we'll do, we'll stop this, and also in this we will provide one anchor to go to the home page after the employee register. Anchor home and href home.html. Semicolon. Let us save this. Also in the we will provide. Now as we have given city, date of birth, employee name, gender, and I have deleted the tables, it will create again. So right click on this, go to run on server, Tomcat, click on next, click on finish. So it will open in the browser. First page will be form. Here you can see we will give now Sam and date of birth, male, Mumbai, Hyderabad, register, and here we go, employee register successfully, and here we can see home hyperlink. Click on home. What happened here, home.html is not happening. Oh, we have given the wrong HTML file name. Here we have to give the form.html. And if we go to the MySQL workbench, if I refresh this, here you will find that employee tab and Hibernate sequence is created. In this we can see now the gender is coming, employee ID, city Hyderabad, date of birth, employee name, and gender is coming. So if we go to the Eclipse and if I go above, the error is because we have modified some here form.html. Ignore that. So first of all, if we go above, so it will create the table employee tab and the Hibernate sequence. So here we can see the whatever the column names in the employee this mapping file. Where is, yeah, here we didn't provide the column, so it will take DOB as a column, but here we have provided the column employee name, so it is taking here as a create table. So employee name and gender it is giving here, and Hibernate sequence it is providing, and at the end it will inserting the values. So if I go to the here and go back, if I go to the go back, let's refresh our project. Now we will provide here Angela, and its date of birth is 7, and if we take here female and Hyderabad register, it will be stored into our database. Here you can see employee registered successfully. Go to the home. Now it's coming to home. Now go to the MySQL workbench. Let's refresh, and employee ID. So ID will be auto generated 1 2 in the sequence. Then city Hyderabad, date of birth 7th February, employee name Angela, and gender is female. So in here also we can see, if we go to the down, insert queries coming here, update, select. So this is a way we can use Hibernate for storing the data. It will automatically create the table and store the data. Here you can see we didn't use or create any SQL query, it will be auto generated, and also we didn't provide or create the table, it will be automatically created by the Hibernate. So I will give the link of this code in the description. So if you like this video, then hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. And I have already created other videos on the Servlet JDBC, you can also check that. In that I use the Hibernate. So that's it for this video.